I thank you all so very much for that very warm welcome here this evening. And I say a very pleasant good evening to all of you and to the good people of District 6. I thank you so much for welcoming the new National Democratic Party tonight. We are indeed delighted to be here in Puzzle, just a street away from a house a healthy baby Walwyn came home to many moons ago. So I feel at home in Puzzle. And I know that my good neighbors of Puzzle and the entire 6th District will bring your lady, Honorable Alva Maduro Keynes, home on Election Day. I know that. I know that all of you in this community have felt the love that Alva naturally gives to all she meets, but particularly the young people and the young men in particular of this district. Some people may think she's coming quietly with that bag of hers, but in it she has lots of energy and lots of heart for the young people throughout her district and throughout this country. At a time where we need proper representation, where we are in this country, I say to you, the people of District 6, stick with Alva Maduro Keynes. We need people with natural love for others, and people who will always encourage others to become the best version of themselves that they can possibly become. 6th District, in Alva, you have such a representative, and you should be proud of the way she has represented you over the last 8 years. Now, there are some people who take Alva's quiet demeanor for granted. We can't all be loud. We all can't be like Mark. But Alva works hard. Alva works hard. And Alva works from the heart. There's some people who do things only when others are looking. Alva does things even when no one is looking. Those are the kind of people you want to represent you. Now, when we launched this election campaign, I pledged that we would have a clean platform. The campaign is now in full swing, and we have kept that promise to you. We have not only focused on the critical issues facing the country that require attention. More importantly, we have articulated solutions, spelling out exactly how we intend to tackle those problems. We have also been unveiling a vision for the future, how we see the development of the Virgin Islands unfolding over the next 20 to 30 years. It is a vision of transformation and modernization, a vision of our territory becoming the best it can be. Effective management of a country's affairs calls for having such a long-term perspective. No government can effectively lead unless it knows where it is going. Now, why are we running an issues-driven campaign? Because we consider it important that you understand the issues, the challenges, the opportunities, and the options you face. It is also important that you understand the role that you can play individually and collectively in helping us to make the BVI the best place that it can be. a model of Caribbean development in the 21st century in which everyone has the opportunity to be the best he or she can be. You have heard me speak throughout the campaign about the importance of having a strong economy. My team and I have put forward many ideas of how to continue to grow the economy of the Virgin Islands. One of the areas that we have been particularly focused on is the tourism sector and the economic linkages and new businesses that can be created from this industry. But I put it to you tonight that all of our efforts can go for naught if we do not pay attention to law and order in our territory. Former United States Attorney General Robert Kennedy said, "The glory of justice and the majesty of law are created not just by the Constitution, nor by the courts, nor by the officers of the law, nor by the lawyers, but by the men and women who constitute our society, who are the protectors of the law as they are themselves protected by the law." This NDP government is committed to having a peaceful and law-abiding community where we can all feel safe and where our visitors can also feel safe. Nothing kills an economy quicker than criminal activity. And so, this new NDP government will continue to support the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force in every way possible, so that they are properly armed with all the resources that they need to protect life and property and to protect the economy of these Virgin Islands from criminal intrusions. One murder in our country is one too many. And as a society, we must show our absolute contempt for this type of conduct in our community. We will look particularly at gun-related crimes with the view of stiffening the penalties even more so, that persons with illegal guns will think twice or three times before they either have in possession an illegal firearm or use it in the furtherance of criminal activity. The economy of our country and the standard of living that we have grown accustomed to can be severely diminished if we do not pay attention to this. And I say to you tonight that this will be a high priority for the new NDP government. Our government intends to build a hall of justice to house all our courts and associated governmental departments. We believe that access to justice is also an integral part of any modern society. Such a building not only adds prominence to our jurisdiction, but it also supports an effective and efficient working environment for those that protect the sanctity of our society through work in our criminal, civil, and commercial courts. Whether we believe it or not, the court system in a country, and indeed in our country, is also a very important underpinning of a strong economy. Nobel Prize winner Jane Addams said, "True peace is not merely the absence of war, it is the presence of justice." In the new and modern BVI that we are seeking to build, everyone must have equal access to justice. This government will continue to ensure in a very strong way that persons who fall foul of the law but do not have access to resources will have better access to fair legal representation through our Legal Aid Board. We will ensure that the Human Rights Commission is established in this country once and for all, so that all persons whose human rights have been infringed will have access to justice. You have heard me speak at length about our human resource development strategy, which is the central plank of this new NDP. Sandy has articulated our vision very well for this. Give Sandy a round of applause for articulating our vision very well. We recognize that we have to do all that we can to ensure that through our education system, all our citizens from early years to adulthood have a fair chance to live to their truest potential. The education system has a role to play in the reduction of criminal activity. We have seen negative behavior manifest in our young people, particularly our young men who have challenges in traditional learning settings. That is why it is important for us to continue to make the investments in our teachers and learning tools to make our schools a welcoming environment that can cater to the learning needs of all our children. The NDP government has undoubtedly improved the education system in this country, and we are the best positioned to take it forward. As I have mentioned before, we will significantly improve the percentage of the national budget that is currently allocated to the Ministry of Education. Justice must also be tempered with mercy. So even though our people may fall foul of the law and find themselves incarcerated, they are still our people, and we must do all that we can to get them back on the right track. We will continue on the great work we have started at Her Majesty's Prison with rehabilitation. In fact, under the NDP government, we have significantly strengthened rehabilitation to the point where there are full-time teachers delivering classes at Balsam Gut. We have inmates at Her Majesty's Prison who have enrolled in the newly established Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program and will be sitting the exams later this month. Nothing will give me greater joy as Minister responsible for education and prison than to present to inmates at Her Majesty's Prison their high school certificate at the end of this month. That is the foresight of your NDP government. We will work with civic organizations to create programs to bridge the transition of inmates of Her Majesty's Prison back into society. It is the responsibility of any government that is serious about rehabilitation of its citizens who have found themselves in trouble to be properly reintegrated back into the society. And when I say we will work with civic organizations, I mean that we'll provide funding to them to ensure that this happens. If we do not do this, those persons, because of how vulnerable they will become at the time of their release from prison, will very quickly find themselves back into the hollow walls of that institution. We do not want that. I am calling on the private sector to give these individuals, once released, a fair opportunity for jobs. The government must also lead by example. Not because someone went to prison mean that you cannot hire them to do good work. We are a Christian society, and there is no better way to show it than to forgive and allow persons to once again be reintegrated into the society. It is much more economically feasible to have persons working and paying taxes than to have them sitting at Balsam Gut and being fed from the tax dollars that you and I have to work so hard for. As Minister with responsibility for youth affairs, I have seen some situations that have caused persons to either be imprisoned or receive a criminal record that could have been handled in a different way. We have seen the issue of persons being in prison for child support. Honorable Alvaro Maduro Kane speaks about that all the time. We have got to get this cleared up once and for all and employ other methods such as garnishing of wages. I have seen the effects of young people, particularly of young men, with a criminal record for simple possession of marijuana. I am in no way condoning smoking of marijuana, but it is time for us to take a long, hard look at some of the archaic laws that we have on the books in the territory of the Virgin Islands. Should we stunt the growth of a young man or young woman for having less than 7 grams of marijuana in their possession? I say no. Many of us do not realize how this affects the development of our young people. From simple opportunities, such as getting travel visas, to long-term damage, such as not being hired because you have a police record. It makes no sense. The damage to them in their personal and professional lives outweighs whatever damage their actions may have caused to the society for smoking a simple joint. We do not have to look very far to see how this matter has been handled. We can look at Bermuda, for example, which is also an overseas territory of Britain, to see how they have decriminalized small quantities of marijuana up to 7 grams, but have empowered the police to confiscate the substance from persons who are smoking it. Provisions were also made in their law for persons to receive education on the side effects of the repeated use of marijuana if they are found with it in their possession too often. That, to me, is the common sense approach to dealing with this issue. The new NDP government will be on the front lines leading this charge. But before I go, in the words of William Shakespeare in the play Romeo and Juliet, "O mischief, thou art swift to enter the thoughts of desperate men." We have seen the actions of desperate people over the past weeks, using memes on WhatsApp and other divisive tools to plant seeds of doubt and fear in the minds of you, the good voters of the Virgin Islands. Many of them live in glass houses, but seem to be obsessed with throwing stones. The downright unprecedented nastiness coming from our opponents is out of step with the traditions of BVI politics. It is also out of step with our character and values as a people of these Virgin Islands. Values that emphasize civility and mutual respect. Never mind our disagreements or how we may feel about each other. At the end of the day, we are a small community related to each other in countless instances. And after this election, we all still have to live here and cooperate with each other. Let me make it clear, I am still in the race. I cannot recall seeing Mark Vanterpool crying. And as the chairman of the NDP, I will lead this party to election victory on February 25th. I know that our opponents are scared. I know that they believe that their key to election victory is to get me and Mark Vanterpool out of the way. I know that. But I urge you, the people, to send a strong message to them on election day that the people of the Virgin Islands do not appreciate their reckless, callous, and disrespectful behavior. It is not us, it is not of us, and we ain't taking it. I am impressed by the fact that they actually want to kill us. Because it says, Mark, that we have great value. You don't go after dead people. But I will offer some words of advice to them this evening. The way to win elections in this country is very simple. Do your work for the 4 years continuously. Be honest, be accessible and approachable, and the people will continue to vote you in over and over again. We exhibit those qualities. So no matter what you do, we will not go home until the people of the BVI say it is time for us to go home. The people of the Virgin Islands have seen how seriously I took my responsibility as Minister for Education and Culture. Education and culture over the past 8 years was transformed under my leadership. Within 8 years, we took that system to the top of the OECS chain, and Sandy was there working with me on it. We took that system from mainly a local system where the grades were lowered for students to achieve to a system internationally accepted with our students climbing to the very top of it. We took a system that discriminated against technical subjects where you could not receive a grade 1 certificate if you were doing technical subjects. And we created the Virgin Islands School of Technical Studies, where those students are now on par with their counterparts of Elmwood High School. Yes. Our students last year sat the CVQs, the Caribbean Vocational Qualifications, and received 100% passes in many areas. That is my record as Minister for Education and Culture. So if that high school could have been built quicker, there is no one that could have gotten the job done better and quicker than I could have. We have got to be realistic and truthful with our people. We had 2 Category 5 hurricanes and a flood. It was not the NDP that caused the hurricane or the floods. Under my leadership, we were able to corral the business community to assist with the rebuilding of Robinson and Noel Memorial Primary School, the Innes Adams Primary School, the Innes Catliff Pre-Primary School, the Brigadier Flax Educational Center, and there's money budgeted for other schools, including the Elmwood High School and the $65 million loan from CDB. The tender was opened a few days ago for the work at ESHS on the L-shaped building. Work is expected to begin in the first week of March, and we expect the shift system to be over by the end of September. The NDP has the matter under full control. To use our children as political pawns on a billboard for election purposes is low, even for the Virgin Islands Party. Never once can I recall the leader of the VIP asking me how things were going with the rebuilding of Elmo Stout High School. Never once. If he cared at all, he would have at least asked a question at the very least. I recall him on ZBVI radio saying that he had donors to help with the rebuilding of Leonora Delville Primary School. You remember? Yes. He probably expected me to play the same dirty politics that he plays with our children. When I called on him for the assistance, verbally and in writing, he could not deliver because he had no real help. Came on radio and told a lie. Came on radio and told a lie because he thought that I would not have accepted the help. I called for the help and he couldn't come up. But I started off by telling you I'm from the Purcell community. And after the floods, Alva and I came to the aid of the people, giving out water and different things. You promised some black tank to the people of Purcell, and we want the black tanks because we ain't see them yet. I'm saying to you that this election, people, is an important one, and I want you to stay focused because a lot more things will come after your party. I received so many calls from people, old women in particular, crying on the phone saying, Myron, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Is this what we're going to put our community through for the sake of power? I said to you, when you go to the polls on February 25th, your choice is clear. You vote NDP all the way. So that we can get back to work and continue the transformation to make your lives better. For a better BVI to be stronger, there's one choice: NDP all the way.